Hi, this video is all about selling on Etsy, what I've learned as a milliner, and general hat chat. I hope you enjoy it. Hi there, my name's Sarah and my business is SH Millinery, and this little video is going to be talking about primarily selling on Etsy, selling hats on Etsy. Now, I haven't done a script and I haven't really made any notes. So I hope that I don't huff and puff and stutter a lot during this, and I hope it's useful to some of you. First of all, this is the hat that you may have seen me make in my video the other day. Thought it would be nice to see it on a head. I turned the brim up. But I'm going to take it off now to chat to you. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and how I started out in hats. Now, I've been sewing since I was 13. And I'm now 62, so I've had plenty of practice over the years. And I've always worn hats, and I've always had a problem getting hats because I have quite a large head size. So I started out making flat pattern hats, sectional from fabric. Now, I opened my Etsy shop in 2010, although I'll be quite honest, I did nothing with it for about 3 or 4 years. And when I started out, that was what I was selling, flat pattern hats. But I've obviously progressed, moved on, and I sell a variety of types of hats now. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I've found over the years and how I've managed to keep the business going. Now, I only have a small studio here, and although customers can come and visit me here in the studio and have custom make couture hats, most of what I do is sold online because it's a lot easier for me. Now, doing some research, I discovered that only 31% of the population ever wear a hat in a year. And if you take off some of that population as being men, which I don't make hats for, excuse me, it does mean that we have quite a limited market for millinery. And most of it, of course, is tied around weddings, other events, christenings, race events, and that type of thing. So we're a small band of people selling to a small band of people, in effect. So to try and make it viable, I realised early on that it was no good selling hats that were hundreds of pounds. Now, myself personally, I sometimes buy outfits that cost hundreds of pounds, but I wouldn't buy them online. I would want to go into the shop, try them on, see that they suited me, see that they were the right colour, see that they were the right fit. And I realised also that those types of hats came very big most of the time. And again, that was a problem with regards to post and packaging, which I shall go into a little bit further. So I decided to make 2 decisions. That most of my hats would go up no more than £70 or £80, which I found was a good price point for a nice hat. And also that most of the hats had to fit into either a small or medium-sized Royal Mail box. Because I could keep my postage uniform then. I could say, the small boxes, say in the UK, were going to be £4.50 to send tracked, or signed for rather, and the bigger boxes were going to cost so much. And for my European customers and my US customers, which I have a lot of, I could say it was going to be £15, signed and tracked across the board. And that made it a lot easier for me. None of this, oh, how much is it to send the hat to me, and how much is it to send to this country? So that came into play quite a bit and quite early on. And I didn't want to have to pay for huge hat boxes again, because that just pushes the price up. And I realised there were barriers to the amount people will spend online, especially when they know that they might have to send it back because A, it doesn't suit them, or it doesn't go with their dress, or a variety of other reasons. So I tend to keep my prices around that. That's not to say that I don't sell hats that are £100 or £150, but they're hats that I make because I want to make them, not because I think they're going to sell tomorrow. They do sell, but might not be till a year down the line. So I try and make stuff that is a constantly good seller. And also, I run the Hereford Etsy team, and I often say to our team members, you must always have a bread and butter line. And I really mean a bread and butter line. It's no good having all your hats at a certain price point, but you haven't got something a little bit below that price point and something that most people would be happy to wear. So that's where my fascinators come into play. I make a lot of those and I sell a lot of those around about the same price point. They suit most people, they're small, and remember, a lot of people are buying something that they'll wear once and never ever wear again. So again, they want to keep the price low, but they want it to be nicely made. Everything you sell online should be well made, regardless of the price. Whether you want to sell it for £25 or £250, it should be made as good as you can make it, which is what I try to do. So these are my standard bread and butter, my fascinators. And I'll sell a lot of these through the year, and I make those all the time. So that's my bread and butter line. I also make headbands and some other things. Now, if there's something else that you'd like to make and you don't want to dilute your brand, then open another shop, which is what I did. I have 3 Etsy shops in total. I have one for my millinery, one for everything else I sew and make, and another one for vintage. So I try and keep the brands all separate and try and have a brand identity. I use the same logo across the board and the same name across the board. So now another thing is, if you're selling on Etsy, you've got to do it well. Your photography's got to be good. I do not photograph my hats on people. 2 reasons. A, it pushes the price up because I've then got to hire models and do a photo shoot, so it pushes the prices up. And the second reason is that some people don't like the fact that a hat has been on someone's head for hygiene reasons. So I don't put my hats on real heads, but I do get as many good photographs of them as I possibly can. So your photography has to be good, and of course your keywords and your SEO and everything. Now, I'm not going to go into lots about that now because that's a whole another ball game. But when you're selling hats, you've really got to think carefully about what people are going to put into search. Now, one of the words that really gets me is the word hatinator. A lot of milliners hate it. They think it's an awful word. But it describes what it is, a cross between a hat and a fascinator. And it's a popular search term. If you put that search term into Etsy, you'll get about 5,000 hats come up. So again, if you're making something like this, put the word in, hatinator. Put the word in, mother of the bride, wedding, races, those sort of things. You've really got to think outside of the box sometimes when it comes to keywords. Those words should be in your titles, they should be in your description, and they should be in your keywords. Your description counts, but don't make it massive. I never read descriptions that start waffling on about everything they've made it out of, where their inspiration came, the fact that they were looking out the window at the birds and that inspired them to put feathers on it. Yeesh. When you buy anything online, what do? You look at the picture first, you look at the price, you look at the description. You only want 3 or 4 lines, especially if you're doing it on a mobile phone. You look at the size and you see how quickly you can get it. Those are the things that count. So try and think about that again as well when you're selling your product online. The other thing is, I always have all my policies in place, and of course, because I'm in the UK, I have to abide by the distance selling laws, which means someone can return something for any reason whatsoever. But you do have to give them a cut-off point. So somebody can return something within 30 days. If you don't give them a cut-off point in your policies, they can return it up to a year later and expect you to refund them. Now, obviously, you have to have in your policies that if the hat is damaged or etc., or worn, then you won't refund, or you'll only partially refund. All my hats have a tag that can't be taken off except with scissors, so I know if they've worn it or not. So again, policies are an integral part of it. Now, another thing is people don't fill out their about pages on Etsy, and people like to know who you are. They like to know what you do, who you are, what your inspiration is, how you started. Now, admittedly, I'm not the model type, so I try not to have too many photographs of me online, but people do like to know about you, so I do have that section filled in as well. If you provide good customer service and you make a good product and you market it properly, you can do fine. And for the last 7 years, I've done well on Etsy and I've really enjoyed it, and I carry on enjoying it. I've made some wonderful friends through it, and I've also got repeat customers. And repeat customers are wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And I do offer those repeat customers a slight discount or something of that little bit extra. Now, I make hats out of everything: felt, fur, fake fur, straw. Oh, by the way, don't put the word cinema in on your listings, because most people have no idea what cinema is. So it's better to just say it's a straw hat. I make fabric hats. I make hats out of plastic. In fact, if I can manipulate it in any way, I'll make a hat out of it. So I make my bread and butter range, my mid-price range, and then I make my, I just feel like making it and hopefully someone will love it one day and buy it range. I hope this has been helpful and interesting for you, and I'm happy to answer any comments. And I hope you'll subscribe to the channel and keep watching all my tutorials and videos. There'll be a lot more coming online over the next couple of months, especially at the moment in 2020 while we're on lockdown a bit. So I'll be making more videos, and I hope you get to watch them and enjoy them. Thank you very much.